Mastering your divine navigation. So, what is your divine navigation? Well, it is your intuitive sense of direction. Do you recognize the messages? The messages can come into your awareness from many different forms. There will be an element of synchronicity in the messages. The message may be delivered through any of the six senses, including your inner vision, inner hearing, inner knowing, inner feeling, and much more. Remember, the message may be very subtle, so you must be paying attention to catch them. Some individuals will set a guideline that they must see, feel, hear, or receive a message 3 or more times. This guidance will allow the universe and divine team to understand how to best communicate messages to you. So, some of the ways that messages are given could be the words of a song playing on the radio that answers the question that you've had in your mind. It could be a conversation happening in the checkout lane 3 lanes down from you, but you can hear it so clearly as if they were standing right beside you. Could be the visual ad on the side of a truck that's moving down the road. It could be that you experience this aha moment that comes in like a lightning bolt and you're not sure where it came from. It could be a page in a book that you're reading. Have you ever taken a book and asked a question and then flipped the pages to find the answer, and the first page you come to holds the answer? This is a great way to get messages from the universe. Could be a neighbor's child that walks up to you and says something to you out of the blue that answers a question that you may have had that morning. It could be a bird that lands on your patio window, and that spirit animal carries the answer to the message you've been looking for. Or you may also hear your own inner voice answering the question with an answer that you couldn't have come up with if you had tried. So let's look at our divine navigation system. One of these senses is called clairvoyant. Clairvoyant messages arrive as images or movie scenes within your mind. They're typically a metaphor, or you need to find the meaning in the message. These messages can appear as pop-ups of information out of the blue when you're unintentionally seeking guidance or clarity. An example might be, you might be looking for a new job and you receive an image of someone fishing in a pond and there's lots of fish. What do you think this message could mean to you? Well, the message to me means that there's lots of fish in the pond. There's lots of opportunity, but you first must put your pole in the water to receive them. So, are you clairvoyant? Do you see vivid images in your mind? Do you have a strong imagination and love to daydream? You know, when we were children in school, we were told to stop daydreaming. Daydreaming and imagination is the best way to work with this gift. Maybe you keep seeing the same symbol or picture, or maybe you've seen an animal appear in different ways, like a peacock on a gift card or in a painting or on a magazine. And when you see it multiple times, you're like, wow, that peacock has a real message for me. Maybe you see flashes of lights or orbs or colors on a regular basis. We tend to see these in this side of our view, not this side of our view. Maybe you've seen shadows move in spaces. So how do you develop this gift? Spend more time daydreaming. Create colorful images and movie scenes about your favorite places. Spend time in meditation. Create a sacred healing space within your mind. Design every detail of the room or space. Sometimes I tell people, imagine that you're sitting in your favorite vacation spot and you can smell and see every detail around you like you're sitting right there, right now. These are great ways to work that muscle to start practicing so that you can be more clairvoyant. So what about clairsentience? These messages come through feeling. Some individuals identify these emotions as a gut instinct. An example of this is the phone rings and you get this feeling that your mother is calling you. And when you answer, it is your mother. So, are you clairsentients? Do you experience goosebumps or chills when someone says something to you or you're thinking about something? Do you get gut in feelings or hunches about things like jobs or where you're going to move or your future? Can you feel the emotions of others? Can you feel the energies in the room? Do you notice subtle changes of temperature, cold and hot spots? Can you feel the energy information on objects? In other words, picking up someone's pendulum or keys. Can you read that information by feeling it in your body? Do you experience frequent physical sensations like aches, pains, etc.? This is usually quite connected to medical intuition because sometimes they can feel the pain, the heartache within their own bodies. They can feel the heart hurting or pain in the side where they've been stabbed. This is feeling everything around you. So, how do you develop these gifts? Well, get a journal. Start writing down your feelings and emotions that you experience. Be specific in your details. Pay attention over the next few weeks and months how things connect in your life. Here's how I would do that. I want to choose either going to this play or this outing. Which one do I want to do? Feel into how that feels to go. Or maybe you're meeting somebody new, and how does that energy feel on their first impression? Do you get this feeling to avoid them or to lean in? Or do you feel really close? Write all those down and watch how that guidance shows up for you and how it comes in to clarity as you work with it. Our next one is clairaudience. This is the message that comes into your mind using voices or sounds. Messages may seem louder or clearer than your own thoughts. It can also be whispers in your ear. When you are starting to connect to this gift, you may experience ringing or high-pitched noises in your ears. Ask spirit to adjust the knob. In other words, think about a radio, how you adjust the volume or the channel. You want to adjust that so that it tunes in to where you can understand what they're trying to tell you. An example would be you asking a guide a question and you've been seeking the answer to a problem in your life. And as you're working on your computer, you hear the answer within your mind. It may even be your own voice, but it's an answer that you wouldn't have come up with on your own. Are you clairaudient? Well, do you feel like you hear what animals and plants are saying? Do you hear messages in music or on the radio? Do you sometimes read what others are thinking? Do you become irritable or overwhelmed with too much noise? Do you avoid loud places? Do you utilize music or sound to shift your moods? Do you like to talk things out? Do you hear intuitive answers in your own voice? Do you hear voices or sounds in the distance? Do you find that you need quiet time? How to develop this gift is to make time for stillness or meditation every day. Take time to connect and quieten your mind and allow yourself to surrender to all the possibilities. In other words, create time where you're by yourself in quiet, where you can actually hear what's going on around you. So our next gift is claircognizance. This is when you get a download instantly. You might have a deep knowing of what's coming or what's happening. This happens when you know that an event is going to occur in the future. A great example of this is when I was 8 years old, my father was in the hospital. It hadn't been the first time he'd been in the hospital. He'd had motorcycle accidents and car accidents most of his life, and none of them were really major. They were kind of minor in all detail. And as a child, I did not have a lot of insight about what was going on. I just knew my father had been in a car accident. He was in the hospital again. But what I did know as a child that he wasn't coming home this time, that he was going to pass before the sun came up on a specific day. I knew that without any doubt what was going to happen. Now, I've had lots of people in my life that have told me, well, you had an instinct. There was something going on. No, I had none, because literally my mother had moved us into my grandparents' house, and we were totally isolated from everything that was going on around us. We had no conversations, no people sitting and crying, no people consoling each other. We were just staying with my grandparents, waiting for my dad to come home from the hospital. That is all we knew. But I knew exactly the day and the evening he was going to pass. There was no doubt in my mind as an 8-year-old child. That wasn't the only time I've had those instincts. I also knew a time my mother had had our house for sale for months and months, and nobody seemed to put in an offer. And she was getting really stressed out. And I had started praying for her to have help and assistance because she was really worried about it. And then one day, Spirit came to me and said, this person that's touring your house on this day is going to be the one that buys the house. And I remember telling my mother, they're going to put in an offer today. They're going to like the house. They're going to buy the house. And she's like, right? As most people do with children. Yeah, right. Okay, that's a great thought. Hopefully, she had all the doubts, all the criticism, but I knew the house was going to have an offer on it that day. Was I correct? Yes, I was. I've had many of those opportunities throughout my life where I just knew things, where Spirit was talking to me and giving me inside information on specific things, not even always what I was asking for. I would just be given. So, do you have claircognizance? Do you experience aha moments? Do you know things you can't explain? Do you get lots of creative ideas? Do you enjoy logical thinking and analyzing? Do you love reading and writing? Do you know when to trust somebody? Do you receive words of wisdom for yourself and others? Do you receive persistent thoughts or messages? So, how do you develop this gift? The next time you are stuck and cannot seem to find a solution, ask your intuition for insights. Pay attention to how the information comes to you when you need to move forward. Now, these are just a few. There are other gifts like smelling. I tend to smell cigars when my grandfather's around. I tend to, those are senses. So smells will take us back to a memory or time, just like music and songs will, right? You smell a certain thing and it immediately takes you back to a time frame when you had that aroma around you. It brings you back to a memory. There are also tastes. Do you taste things? Can you think of your favorite dish and literally taste it like you're eating it? Taste is another sense that we have, inner taste, that has a connection to it. So these are just a few. This is a way to master your divine navigation. Which one of these gifts is the strongest for you? Which ones do you rarely get? Or maybe you connect a little bit to all of these. Use your divine navigation system or your inner compass to direct you on your spiritual path. Allow it to give you guidance and insight as you move along your journey. Thank you for listening to this video. I hope you have a magical day, and I hope to see you really soon at Discover Your Spiritual Gifts.